Welcome to Ominous Black Box Television. It's been a couple weeks since I've done a review because, well, all my equipment's gone. But I do have a couple projects lined up. This one only lined up yesterday. This is a passive subwoofer. They don't sell passive subwoofers anymore, really. What a passive subwoofer is just, well, the speaker that you have to power with an amplifier that is just designed for low end. And this one is super unique, as far as I know. It's a Yamaha SW3, and it's got these cool pictures of, here's a subwoofer up in the attic with the port now extending into this room, and here it is in an attic pointing down into the room, and here it is in the back of a car. It could go anywhere! And this was sold as a setup, by the way, made in Denmark. Good luck finding a subwoofer made in Denmark in America. And the way it works, here amp, nice little diagram, amp into that, and then you have these little speakers which I still have around somewhere, but one's blown, that you put out, and the amplifier comes in, powers this, and the amplifier goes out and keeps going and powers your speakers. And I believe there is a frequency cutoff so that this subwoofer takes over the bottom, whatever, however many hertz. I don't know, it's not marked here or anything. Now, yesterday, this has been in my home theater for well over a decade. It was my father's. He used it for whatever he used it for. Then I took it and I put it through my left and right front channel. So I had in-ceiling front channels or hanging front channels, and this was to pick up the low end of that so I could set them to large in the receiver, and you know, sounded good. When I put it in stereo mode, I put it in direct mode, it really filled out without using, because for many years it did not have a 0.1 that was legitimate. It was all Dolby Pro Logic decoded bullshit. So I kept this in the loop even though I had a modern receiver with a passive out because I liked the way this sounded. Now in this relatively small box, give you dimensions real quick, 7 3/4, 19, 13 1/4, is two 6.5 inch drivers. Now, for those of you who don't know, 6.5 inch driver is exactly what's on these Dayton towers. So 2 of these are in there, and they're in an isobaric push-pull, which means that there's only one port. There's port, and then there you can kind of see one of the drivers, and there's 2 drivers right here pointed at each other. And half this box is sealed, and half this box is ported. And they go together. And that is, I don't know the order, I don't know the pass order. There's 75 different design of, wow, those are the specialty screws. Well, I'm going to pull this apart now because last night put on a YouTube video, the making of the Interstellar soundtrack. Beautiful, I'll link it in the description. The guy with the organ, I was crying. It was terrible. Terrible, terrible thing. Because then afterwards, I put it on. I put on the Interstellar soundtrack, and my 20-something-year-old Yamaha decided to blow both his drivers. Or one of his drivers. I don't know yet. I'm going to pull this apart now, and I'm going to replace the driver, because I just happen to have a box of replacement 6.5. So when the Dayton stacks went to shit, I bought a whole mess of them. So I'm going to start the video, I'm going to find this screw head, and I'm going to disassemble that, and then we'll see what it looks like inside. Right. I just pried this away a little bit, because it obviously hasn't been opened in, well, since it was probably put together. Oh god, I don't want to chip away too much of this wood, because it is particle board. There's our crossover. Nice coils. Yamaha branded caps, that's nice. Everything's labeled, ins and outs, these look solid. Room, I should have enough room. And there we go. And this is what a blank pass, first order, second order, I'm not sure which one, looks like. What are we looking at? Obviously Denmark made Yamaha drivers. Some insulation, and here's your port, which you can, God, I'm gonna have to unplug this at some point anyway. I believe this unscrewed and you reversed it. That's where you can get those interesting little, you know, have it port down into your ceiling or port up into your car. Be interesting to put this in a car. Yeah, I mean, how much simpler than that do you want? But you see how it works. This is sealed. This is its own little space. And this is its own little space. And since they're going together, they really do a good job. They do a good job. And this could probably, if you were ever going to use this as an extended flexi port, you could probably replace this with something cardboard. But right now I'm going to detach the drivers here. Actually, I'm going to remove the insulation so I don't get full of it. And I'm going to detach the drivers and I'm going to replace them and I'm going to put it together and then I'm going to hook it up and play it. See what it sounds like. Maybe I'll show you what the blown speaker looks like. Yeah, I would definitely call that blown. There's no surround left, even attached. So, Mr. Hans Zimmer has done his dirty work here. Jesus Christ. Made in Denmark doesn't mean your surrounds will last forever. But yeah. So here are, hi-fi. Here are the new ones. Replacement ones. Now I'm not sure the specs of these drivers. Normally you'd look up specs, whether they be written on the back of the driver. These don't even have the ohm rating on them. So I'm going to assume they're going to be replaced with 8 ohm and be fine. There is a new one. Nice rubber, beautiful rubber surrounds. I got these off a guy in Brooklyn. But you go to Parts Express. You can find the replacement driver you need. I may have to remove this rubber seal, because he's sort of like sunk in there, so I'll do that off camera. So there you go. Here's a little nuts and bolts that held it in place, strapped right one to the other. And obviously the farty sounds, actually, these had to be deteriorating for quite a while, so I'm sure once I replace this, this thing's going to kick ass once again. Blown. Now you can redo this surround. They sell kits to just, you actually glue it on. You lay it down, glue it on to the cone. But these are so far gone, I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to replace them. 6.5s are pretty cheap. And yeah, those are blown. Those are very blown. So let me remove the rubber from this, well, the foam around it, unless I can get it to fit. It might work with the foam. It depends on how long these are. No, I'll have to go through my replacements. All right, let me see what I'm doing. I'll be back. I wasn't planning on showing this bit, but if I'm going to dole out awesome information, it's going to be at all points. Now, I've got this one seated here, and these screws just are hanging there, so this isn't attached. And I got to get this one on, and then thread these little tiny freaking 9/32 nuts on there. So the problem is, once it's in here, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get it on, and here's the flex tool I used. So what you do is, if I just drop this nut in the flex tool, that should hold it, and then I could just hand screw it in like that. So we're going to give that a shot on camera. Because if anything, I love failing on camera. I got to try to put this on without pushing those nuts, those bolts through. Come on. I really do not wish to press my hand into this insulation any more than I already have. Because the itchies are happening. Oh, too late. Alright. So now I'm just going to hold that. I could actually put a clamp on it. That would be super badass. The clamp may get in the way. Alright, so forget the clamp for now. We just got to get... I'm going to put this... You know what? I'll put the top one in first. Just so it holds it. Or I'll drop it. And I'll lose it under the speaker forever and ever. I did rip off the foam so that it seats metal to metal. So at least even if I just have one of these in here, those won't fall apart now. I don't have to concentrate on holding it. Might as well put both top ones in. These top ones are the easy ones. No one's going to struggle with the top ones. All right. So now we're dropping this in. Dropping it in, hopefully it lines up straight. If it doesn't, like it's currently doing, that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a piece of tissue paper and we're going to squish it up into a little tiny cylinder. I'm going to drop it in there. You could take a drill bit and press it down. See, now that I've pressed down paper into that, I should be able to drop this and it won't fall too far and it'll sit right there. And here we go. Do, 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 do. Jesus, this is really difficult. Come on. Am I even on it? Am I pushing it away with the... Come on. Right? Yes. Okay. That one's on. I love it when a plan comes together. Ideally, these nuts would fit in here tighter. They're probably some sort of strange Denmarkian millimeter. And I'm just using whatever comes closest. Right. Hook my impact wrench up to this because I'm crazy. As soon as she like threads off, I'm like, alright, done. We'll do opposite ends. She's spinning up here. Yeah. Itchy. Scratchy. Good enough. And now this last one up here. Nice and solid. 2. Boring video is boring. I get that 4th one to do that, to click the ratchet. I can't tell if she's spinning it or not. You know what? That one's in. Okay. Ooh, okay. So, blown speakers are out, new speakers are in. Let's get to the next problem. These were the small crimp-ons, and these new drivers require the large crimp-ons. See? Big difference there. So I have this marked, you know, blue and green. Make sure you mark which one came off which. I didn't have a red magic marker, so I just marked black, because that's obviously the negative. Will that reach? Oh, dangerous. Dangerous. I'm making up new, safe for work curse words. Anyway, so I gotta get green here. That's easy enough. It's getting the black one. I guess I can come across the top. So I'm gonna cut it off as close as I can to the old connectors. Strip them. What gauge wire we figure this is? It's gotta be 18. Yes. And now, give me a second to go find my crimps so I can crimp these new ones on. Alright, and the last one is stripped. Drop it in my crimper. Well, actually, it's my father's crimper, and I have to leave it here. And it makes me sad. Feed of wire. See it pop out. Squeeze. Done. Alright. These are pretty heavily labeled red. Does it say Yamaha all over the cable? It does! It's Yamaha cable. I feel so proud. Now, if it goes on a little too easy, what you could do is just press this down in the back. Of course, that's a little slide. So now it should be tighter, and you won't be afraid of it falling apart in speaker. Because keep in mind, subwoofers do bounce. All of a sudden you go, why does things sound wrong? It's because something unplugged and it requires 17 screws to get to. Do not want. You could actually solder these on if you really want to get anal. Those are there. This is, the blue was, that was hot. That's good and tight. I gotta bend that one over. We're gonna plug. That's way loose. Way loose. There we go. I just hope that this can go down, not hit the box top. Now, my problem with testing this to show you all is the only amplifier I have currently is the Pioneer D1S or the Pioneer Spec 2 or a Kenwood KR 5400. So I've got vintage amps and that's it. All my modern amps are already out in Philly. So, guess we'll use that in a sec.